When wars stretch on, it's often not just about battles on the front line, but about the weapons that sustain them. And in August 2025, one of Ukraine's most ambitious defense projects, its Sapsan missile system, took a devastating hit. Russia claims to have wiped out the very factories responsible for producing this weapon, and the impact could be a turning point in the conflict. The Sapsan wasn't just another missile. It represented Ukraine's hope of building its own long-range strike capability, something that could deter Russia and maybe even shift the balance of power. But now, with the factories destroyed, that dream looks shattered, at least for the foreseeable future. So, what exactly happened? Why was this such a big deal? And what does it mean not just for Ukraine, but for the broader game being played out between Moscow, Kyiv, and the West? Let's break it down. It all began on August 14, 2025. Russian state media proudly announced a coordinated strike operation targeting Ukraine's Sapsan missile production facilities. According to Moscow, the Federal Security Service and the Ministry of Defense worked hand in hand to execute the attack. The targets weren't random warehouses or small depots. They included major industrial complexes in Pavlograd, Zhytomyr, and Shostka, key hubs where Ukraine was assembling the future of its missile force. These weren't just factories, they were the beating heart of the Sapsan program. But Russia didn't stop there. Just days later, on August 17th, the Russian Ministry of Defense released more details. The strikes also hit storage areas containing operational tactical missiles, ammunition, long-range drones, and even temporary deployment sites of Ukrainian troops and foreign volunteers. Videos circulated by Russian officials, combined with satellite images, seem to back up the scale of destruction. Independent verification remains tricky. After all, the areas are deep in contested territory, but even open-source analysts admitted the evidence pointed to large-scale strikes. This wasn't a simple bombing run. Russia pulled out a mixed bag of tools to ensure success. Precision-guided munitions, high-speed drones, air-launched missiles, and even sea-based cruise missiles were reportedly used to overwhelm defenses. But here's the question that military watchers keep asking. What exactly delivered the fatal blows? We assume the Iskander M ballistic missile system may have played a central role. With its range of up to 500 kilometers and ability to maneuver mid-flight, the Iskander is designed to strike fortified targets with devastating accuracy. Hitting hardened factory infrastructure would have been exactly the kind of mission where Iskanders shine. Others point to the growing use of Kalibr cruise missiles, launched from ships or submarines. Their precision and long reach make them an ideal tool for striking deep inside Ukraine, especially against fixed industrial targets. And those defenses were no joke. The Sapsan facilities were reportedly shielded by American-made Patriot air defense batteries and German radar systems, some of the most advanced Ukraine had. Yet, according to Russian reports, those defenses were destroyed in the process. Here's where the story takes an interesting twist. Germany wasn't just helping Ukraine defend these factories. It had allegedly provided financial and technological support for the Sapsan project itself. That raises the stakes. For Ukraine, the silence was telling. Kyiv did not rush to deny or downplay the reports. And that raised eyebrows. Could it be because the damage really was as severe as Moscow claimed? To understand the impact of these strikes, you need to know what the Sapsan was. This wasn't a short-range battlefield weapon. The Sapsan was designed to strike targets up to 500 to 750 kilometers away. That would have put major Russian cities like Voronezh and Rostov-on-Don, and even Belarusian capital Minsk, within reach. For Ukraine, that kind of capability wasn't just useful, it was a potential game-changer. In Moscow's eyes, this wasn't just about missiles, it was about deterrence. If Ukraine had managed to mass-produce Sapsan systems, Russia would suddenly find its own rear areas vulnerable in a way they hadn't been since the war began. So by destroying the production lines, Russia wasn't just taking out factories, it was cutting off Ukraine's future ability to threaten Russian cities and military hubs. The immediate result of the attack is grim. Ukraine has lost its ability to produce the Sapsan at scale, and rebuilding won't be quick. Russian analysts estimate it could take at least 18 to 24 months to even partially restore production, given how specialized the machinery and processes are. Think about what that means. The war is being fought right now, not in 2 years' time. Without the Sapsan, Ukraine has to rely even more heavily on Western-supplied systems like ATACMS or Storm Shadow missiles. And those come with their own political baggage, as every new delivery sparks debates in NATO capitals. It's also a blow to morale. The Sapsan was seen as proof that Ukraine could stand on its own 2 feet militarily, building weapons that didn't rely entirely on imports. With that gone, the message is harsh. Even your most ambitious homegrown projects aren't safe. Why did Russia go after Sapsan now? Analysts point to 2 reasons. First, timing. Striking just before the upcoming Trump-Putin talks in Alaska gives Moscow leverage at the negotiating table. It's a show of strength, a reminder that Russia can still dictate the tempo of the war. Second, doctrine. The operation reflects a shift in Russian strategy toward deep, intelligence-driven strikes. This wasn't a blunt force attack. It was a carefully planned operation involving months of surveillance, infiltration, and targeting. Russian intelligence even claimed it had penetrated Ukrainian communications to map out vulnerabilities. The destruction of the Sapsan factories leaves Ukraine facing some tough questions. Can it disperse its weapons programs to avoid being targeted so easily in the future? Can it rely on foreign partners to fill the gap? Or will Russia's success make Western states more cautious about investing in Ukrainian military projects? So, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.